Well, hello everyone. It's your girl Taya, and it's Tuesday. So I am back. I'm back, y'all. I'm back. It is Tuesday, November the 4th, 2025. Yes, it is less than 2 months left of 2025. We're also entering the season of seasonal depression for some, right? Because it gets dark much earlier, right? It's not a lot of sunlight during the day, the whole thing. Holiday blues, all the above. I'm one of those people that, do my best to stay in the greatest of spirits during this time. So shout out to everybody. We will get through this. March will be here before we know it, and we'll be back in the sunlight. We will survive. We will survive. Remember last week what I say? We live in the champagne life. All right, y'all. So if this is your first time logging on, shame on you. My name is Taya, the curator. I was affectionately named after by one of my homies. Shout out to Life Be Life and Podcast, who actually put me on this Riverside app. So shout out to that. He's also a part of Podcast Link Philly. That is a unit of podcasters that I am one of the creators of that group, where a bunch of podcasters from the tri-state area linked up together to do live shows. We are having our fourth show, which is celebrating everything that I just said, on Saturday, November 29th, 6 p.m., 1890 Woodhaven Road in the Northeast for those who are in Philadelphia. 19116, all black attire. It is an interactive game night celebration. We're going to party. We're going to eat with a great food vendor. We're going to have dessert with a great dessert vendor. We're going to dance with a great DJ. And if you're in the show, if you're at the show, you're in the show. It's really that simple, y'all. Tickets $30. Link is in my bio in the podcast link really bio. For those who are first listening, you can follow me at JUSTTYABRANDLLC. I have to start doing these shows as if people are listening for the first time, because every week I seem to have new people. Speaking of, right, I told y'all how I went to the Last Dragon in New York and how I was hanging with, this couple, and I never even met this couple before, but the couple was taking my pictures, and we watched the movie together and all this, right? Well, the couple found me on YouTube when I posted my video about the Last Dragon movie, and now both couples are following me, commenting, and saying it was great hanging out with you, Ty. I know, because I'm a vibe. I'm a vibe, y'all. I keep telling y'all I'm a vibe. I'm living the champagne life, bringing it back full circle to last week. So anyway, if this is your first time listening, let me tell you two things. Number one, every episode of Ty's Tuesday Thoughts is based on a song, right? And it's not always based on exactly what the artist may have intended that song be about. It's my interpretation. I'm a Virgo. This is what I do. All right. And also, every episode is sponsored by Author Tees. That is my graphic design line of tees and tumblers. Okay? That one was called Podcast Personality, because I have a podcast personality and I am a podcast personality. But this week's feature author T is Return Energy to Sender. You know how, you get something in the mail that's not for you? What you put on it? Return to sender. So when you give me some energy that I don't want, that doesn't fit into my champagne life, guess what? I'm returning energy to sender. Not returning the same energy, just returning your energy to you. So that is what this week's feature author T is Return Energy to Sender. And baby, it coincides right with the topic. The song for this episode of Tired Tuesday Thoughts, episode 21, is Icebox by Omarion. I got this icebox with my heart used to be. Y'all know my voice been messed up. Y'all listen, y'all know I got voice issues. But I'm doing the show anyway. Period. Champagne life. I know that was last week, but I don't know. I was really feeling that episode. So was a lot of other people. I had people actually hit me up about it. Anyway, talked about Next Level. Sponsored by Author Tees. And what the main topic is. Also want to let you guys know that this Friday, November the 7th, I have curated my very first first Friday Night Live where a podcast will come to G Host Bar and Lounge in Philadelphia at 1653 West Hunter Park Avenue inside of Pulaski Hall for those who live in Philly, and put on a live show. And this month's featured podcast is someone I just mentioned at the beginning of this episode, Life Be Life. And it is also his 100th episode of Life Be Life podcast. Shout out to that. For those who are in the podcast game, you know what a milestone 100 episodes is. You know, September the 4th, 2025, as the First Lady of G&T, I celebrated the 100th milestone episode with G&T Sports Talk along with my 44th birthday. Know what I'm talking about? I was on the stage with them. They said, nah, you've been supporting us. You are a First Lady. We want you to be there too. And guess what? I'm going to be sitting right there next to Nah too. Because, you know, I'm a vibe. I told y'all, Champagne Life. Hey, listen. All right. So y'all probably like, damn, she talking about Champagne Life, but this episode called Icebox. Aha. Stay tuned. We'll get to that. First, let's talk about what's going on in this crazy world. I mean, you know, it wasn't a whole lot this week, but, you know, it's a couple things to talk about. All right. First of all, prayers up for Jayden Daniels. That is the quarterback for the Washington Commanders football, NFL. He dislocated his elbow in a game on Sunday that he should not have been in. Baby, it was like 7 minutes left in the game. They was up like, they had like 38, and hold on, I'm gonna look right for the right score. Sorry. Yeah, like he shouldn't have been in that game at all. Like it was insane. Now maybe Dan Quinn, shout out to Coach Quinn, was thinking, could we come back like Denver did on the Giants? No. Jayden Daniel gruesome elbow injury wasn't bad luck. It was a preventable mistake. Yeah, this is what people were saying. I'm sorry. It was against the Seahawks. 38-14. Really, Quinn? Really? You could have let him sit that one out. I don't even understand the decision making there. Did you really think y'all was coming back? That Denver and Giants game was a once in a lifetime situation. I've never seen anybody score 33 points in the fourth quarter. Never seen it. Now here's the irony, right? It was against the Seattle Seahawks. Well, there's been a lot of comparison of Jayden Daniels to RG3, and his mama ain't having it. She said, stop putting that on my son, you know. But there are a lot of similarities. Quarterback for Washington, who got injured pretty badly against the Seahawks. I'm not saying it's a coincidence. I'm just saying, I see why people might be saying RG3. Sorry, mama. Speaking of mama, saw a video of mama acting like Tasha on Power. Drooling over Kanan. Wait, Tasha wasn't drooling over Kanan. Who was drooling over Kanan? I don't even remember Kanan even having anybody on Power. But y'all get my point. She was drooling over 50 Cent. You better watch it, mama. Vivica gonna come get you. Sorry, Vivica. Nah, y'all, but Vivica been on 50 forever. Like, I never seen... The only person that might talk about somebody more is Monique talking about Tyler Perry and Oprah. That's the only person that talks about somebody more than Vivica talks about 50. Girl. Maybe he really got the... Never mind. Not gonna say that. Anyway, I just want to say, right? There was all this flack for the Super Bowl champs about the brotherly shove, as we call it, or y'all want to call it the tush push. But what did I see? While my Eagles were on a bye and obviously couldn't do the brotherly shove this week because we were on a bye. Oh, a bunch of teams decided we're going to try it out while we on a bye. So, did y'all have a problem with it? Or was it just you just couldn't stop it? Did you have a problem with it? Or you just couldn't do it as well as us? Don't be a hater all your life. Voting against something and then using it sounds like Trump behavior. All the shade intended. Knock it off. All right, Thursday. As I told y'all last week, I went to Delaware State versus Norfolk State football game. HBCU football game, right? It was a vibe. That was my very first HBCU football game. And it was a vibe. It was all the things, okay? I felt like I was watching Drumline. One band, one sound. Y'all know Drumline. Y'all know y'all watch Drumline. You know what I mean? Drumline one of my favorite movies. I love it. Except for when he played that Flight of the Bumblebee. He could keep that nonsense. We ain't doing that, Dr. Lee. Shout out to Dr. Lee, though. Listen, this was a major, right? Because we have two former Eagles, Deshaun Jackson and Michael Vick, our coaches. Deshaun coaches Delaware State, Michael Vick coaches Norfolk State, HBCUs, right? 47,000 people in attendance for the game. 1 million reported in revenue for the game. An HBCU game. Cam Newton was in the building. Allen Iverson was in the building. Freeway was in the building. Meek Mill was in the building. Yo, we show out for our people. Love to see it. Love to see it. What I don't love to see, and I'm going to go back to DJACK in a minute because I got something special I want to say about DJACK. What I don't love is the shade being thrown at Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Prime. You know, we got to learn to celebrate wins in real time. We also got to learn that none of our people are obligated to stay still for us. You also have to learn not to become emotionally invested in everything, right? Because here's an example. I'm not saying that this will happen, right? But let's say in a couple of years, you know, Deshaun gets an offer from a PWI that he just can't refuse. And then he leaves Del State and goes to a PWI. Y'all gonna trash him too? Y'all gonna wish harm on him too? Y'all gonna call him a sellout? Not want his kids to succeed? Is that how y'all gonna treat Deshaun? If he happens to do that, is that how y'all would treat Michael Vick if he happened to leave? Because the reality is that could happen. The reality is that some people do coach at HBCUs to just continue the blueprint. See, Prime went and set the tone, and both of these kings have acknowledged that, as well as Deion acknowledging these two kings continuing what he started. See, I say that a lot of black people have a Harriet Tubman complex, always looking for one person to save something. One person is not going to save HBCU football. One person is not going to make or break HBCU football. So to lay it on the shoulders of one person, right, simply because you see the impact that this person had on the program is unfair. And nobody should have to carry that responsibility. And I'm not going to go into the whole situation, but I will say that people go off of perception. Oh, well, he said he was going to do this and that. He did that. He said he was going to change the program. He did that. He has changed the program. The program has continued to be successful. And now on top of that, you got other former NFL players going to coach along with, Prime left off and Eddie George been there. So y'all ain't even really know about Eddie George. He was there. Which brings my point again, that one person or one coach is not going to make or break HBCU football. Because even with the impact that, Prime had, yeah, it got some attention. But that's it. That's it. It got some attention. It's getting attention now. It will get attention if Jalen Hurts retire and become an HBCU NFL coach. That's the point. You keep it moving. The next person starts where the last person left off. But to be trashing people for making a decision that we see now was beneficial for his own son and as well as Travis and himself. Y'all not going to tell me that Travis would have been the number 2 pick if he stayed at Jackson State. He would have won the Heisman Trophy if he stayed at Jackson State. So everybody needs to sacrifice their future for one school to make a point when the impact has been felt, and all you need is for other people to come along and join in, which is what is being done. So learn how to celebrate a win without throwing shade at somebody else for making a different decision. Focus on the impact and the blueprint that was even laid for the next 2 people to come along. Now, I said I was going to get back to Deshaun. Here's my thing about Deshaun. I just watched a clip today of Deshaun talking about, how he felt when he got released from the Eagles, right? Y'all remember that? When he was out here saying the chip we trust. I tell people you're not a real Eagles fan if you wasn't out here saying the chip we trust. If you wasn't a fan during the Chip Kelly era, where some people don't even want to say his name, they just get traumatized, you're not a real Eagles fan. I said what I said. You're not. Some people don't even know who Chip Kelly is. They only know Nick Sirianni. Y'all don't even know Chip Kelly. Y'all don't know the trauma of Chip Kelly. Trade away a whole damn team, including Deshaun Jackson. Okay? By far one of the best wide receivers at that time. And the issue that I had is that, there was a rumor put out there by NJN.com that Deshaun was let go because he was in a game. And the Eagles never stepped up to defend him. They never said, no, that's not why we let him go. Never said anything. Just allowed that rumor to be out there that the reason why Deshaun Jackson was no longer an Eagle was because he was a gang member. It was false. It was a false narrative that NJN.com, who I don't think I heard of to this day, and every time somebody told the story again, they use NJN.com as a reference. Do Deshaun have hood friends? Yes. Y'all saw him in pictures with people from his neighborhood. He had an entourage. That don't make him a gang member. He went to college, in the NFL, and outside of, little small stuff, ain't never really did anything wrong. But he got the false narratives was used as justification for getting rid of him, and people ran with it. I never believed it. I was like, well, who the hell is NJN.com? Shit is false. Because guess what? After that, he went to another team, and another team, and another team, and wait for it, came back to the Eagles. That's how you know it was false. And I was kind of mad when he came back to the Eagles because the Eagles never publicly said no. No, we're sorry. We should have stood up for you. Chip Kelly 2 months later said it was a football decision. Really, Chip? You gonna wait 2 months to say that? And I brought all that up for a very specific point. When it was announced that Deshaun Jackson was going to be the coach of Dell State, there was a lot of negative comments. And the first thing people were saying, oh, he's immature. Oh, he was in a gang. Oh, what has he done to deserve that? And you know what I say to that? You know what, when I ask people who said that? Prior to Deshaun getting that job, did you sit around and say, I wonder who should coach Dell State? Did you even have another candidate in mind that would have been better than Deshaun? The answer to that is no. Nobody was sitting around saying, hey, I wonder who's better than Deshaun Jackson to coach Dell State. Said nobody. Y'all was not thinking about it. It bothers my soul that we will count each other out for no reason, or that we'll sit around and say what somebody doesn't deserve because they didn't do it before. Well, how do you ever get the experience if you don't do it? How do you ever get the coach if you don't coach? Some of the self-hate be real. I mean, on the one hand, it's a Harriet Tubman complex. On the other hand, I don't even know what you call it. What they saying, like, hey, boss, he ain't working. That's how a lot of people act. Like the dude on Life. Hey, boss, he ain't working. Hey, boss, he ain't never coached before. Why you letting him coach? I don't care who else coach. I just don't want it to be him. That was the attitude. And guess what? It's a hell of a coach. 2 wins away, I believe, from winning the Celebration Bowl in his first year as an HBCU head college coach. Shout out to Deshaun. Let that be a lesson to y'all. Stop counting people out before people even start. It's sickening. And it gotta be a sickness. Especially when you don't even have an alternative. I used to have a quote. Criticism without an alternative is just noise. Y'all was just making noise. Because you probably think, oh, remember he was a gang member. You never found that to be true. Was never confirmed, and he remained in the league since then, and I never even heard that gang shit come up again. Who the hell is NJN.com once again? That was everybody's source who mentioned that story. And as much as I don't like Stephen A., he was the one to give Deshaun a platform to clear his name. And that's why a little piece of me will always still have respect for Stephen A. Because he was the one to give Deshaun a platform to clear his name. And then he got picked up by the Commanders next, which I didn't like. Shout out to Deshaun, though. Okay, so I don't know if this is true, but I read it on It Is What It Is page. There was a post that said, Stefon Diggs be feeling like the man when he walked through. 4 women pregnant at the same time, including Cardi B. I'm going to say allegedly, right? I saw pictures of Cardi B video. She was smiling. I don't think I've seen her look like that in a while. This was after the game with Stefon Diggs. His energy was, his energy is always the same. But no, Cardi. Hello, Cardi. Hello. Like, I'm thinking about all your songs. Salute the Real. I'm thinking about I'm a Magnet, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't think that highly of yourself and be okay with being in a baby mom harem. That's what it is. A baby mom harem. It's no way. What? 4 women at the same time? And again, this is allegedly, so I'm speaking allegedly. But I really don't think it is what it is would have posted it if they didn't know if it was true. Because they didn't say allegedly. And I do remember the video of Cardi saying, well, we're going to figure it out. It's all our baby father now. I don't know if she was joking or just saying that to shut people down. But I really, I don't know, man. 4 women at the same time is insane. That is insane if it's true. And we got to do better. That's just not a good look at all. That's 4 kids coming to this world in a broken family. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how much money the moms have. I don't care how much money the dad have. I need people to stop worrying about money all the time. This is 4 broken homes. Intentionally. What are we talking about? I'm over it. And I stand on what I said before. I understand. Your husband has admitted that he didn't treat you right. Well, ex-husband. And I understand what you said. Love was dead inside. I just think you could have did better than somebody that has 4 women pregnant at the same time. Allegedly. Now, like I said, I'm speaking on this allegedly. Shout out to Cardi. Girl, you are the drama. Love you, though. All right. So there's a restaurant in Philly. Well, it just came to Philly, right? It's called Kitchen Cocktails, and it's Black owned. And there are 8 other locations across the country, right? And people could not wait for this restaurant to come to Philly because apparently a lot of people went to, the other locations across the country, right? But I knew when it came to Philly, it was going to be different. Because Philly is different, right? Hey, this going to get me in trouble. I don't care. I have not been to Kitchen Cocktails yet, right? I stood in front of there when I went to Orchestra Noir a couple weeks ago. It's a beautiful place. Looks beautiful. You know, they had like a red carpet outside. They got security in the front, you know. It was nice. Looks nice, right? I said, oh, I can't wait to go here, but, you know, I'm going to let it die down a little bit, you know, if I get a reservation. 1 week later, a bunch of people putting up bad reviews. Now, I'm going to speak on most of the reviews that I've watched or read were about the pricing. People were saying it was expensive, right? And then some people said the drinks were expensive. I did hear some people say they didn't like the mac and cheese, which I don't like most people's mac and cheese from restaurants. I'm a homemade mac and cheese kind of girl. I don't really like too many restaurants mac and cheese. I really can't even think of one right now off the top of my head. And again, Turk's Taste. Yeah, that was up there. But most of the mac and cheeses out here, y'all just need to stop making mac and cheese. So I might can understand that complaint. And people had an issue because, you know, everything was a la carte and blah, blah, blah. This is what I'm going to say, right? I knew the moment that people knew this restaurant was black owned, that people were going to start making complaints about it or being hard on the restaurant, right? And the reason for that is a lot of my people go into restaurants with preconceived thoughts. Oh, I know when I go in here, the food not going to be good. I know when I go in here, the service not going to be good. I know when I go in here, they're going to be out of something, right? So people go into restaurants with those thoughts. And then when the smallest thing happens, that's where the negativity comes. And it's generally done in black-owned restaurants, right? Which is unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that we do that. But that's what I want to say, right? So Kitchen Cocktails is down the street from 2 theaters, in between 2 hotels that are not cheap to stay in, right? So honestly, that's who that restaurant is for. It's more of a tourist attraction versus the happening spot for just regular people in Philly. And, you know, or when people are coming here, you know, for certain things, that would be the restaurant that people will go to. It's really not for the everyday person. That's why it's mainly everyday people saying, oh, it costs too much money. I can't afford it. This and that. Then it's not for you. But then right down the street, you got a restaurant, Steak 48, that say you got to spend $125 and you got to dress a certain way. And people will go in there. Where you can, to my knowledge, Kitchen Cocktails don't have a minimum. I saw people dressed, you know, regular when I was standing outside of there, the people that came out. Everything is not for everybody. Y'all saw it on Instagram, you know, all over, knew it was coming here and were hyped to go, right? 1, look at the menu and look at the prices before you go. You will know if you couldn't afford it. Everything is not for everybody. If you can't afford it, you don't go. There's certain places I can't afford. You will not see me even attempt to go, because guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look at the menu, I'm gonna add it up and say, nah, not gonna be able to do that right now. It's not fair to trash anybody's establishment, because bad reviews, especially on black-owned restaurants, absolutely deter people from going. I don't listen to anybody's reviews on any restaurants. Because there are plenty of restaurants that I love that other people be like, I can't stand that place. But I love that place and never had a bad experience. So I go off for myself. I also don't make bad review videos. I only make review videos on places if I liked it. If I don't like it, I usually won't say anything publicly. That's just me. I don't feel that it's necessary to do. So I don't do it. To each his own. But, nah, y'all. If you can't afford it, don't go. There's no way you get to the restaurant and be like, oh my God, I can't believe this bill. The menu's online. The menu's online. Yeah. Okay. This is kind of a weird segue, but as of right now, SNAP benefits are going to be given out in partial payments. I don't know what's going on. This is dumb. I don't even really want to talk about it. What I do want to talk about is all y'all people who think it's funny that people would lose their SNAP benefits or not have any way to eat simply because you're ignorant enough to believe that the only people that benefit from food stamps is the chick on your block with a bunch of kids. Well, let me tell y'all, even that chick on your block might work 25 hours to keep her benefits. Or she has a special needs child that she has to stay home with that she gives benefits for. There are very few people that are getting food stamps who don't have one of those situations I just named. Majority of the people getting food stamps is white females. Next is senior citizens and the disabled. So you're ignorant when I see posts like, oh, well, $40 gonna be good enough now that y'all not getting your food stamps. Why would you take the opportunity in a situation where people are going to be without one of the most important things you need to survive in this world, and that's food? Simply because you see a few people around throughout your life that you believe is just being lazy and getting food stamps. You don't stop to think that this is a whole entire country. And seniors, disabled, people with special needs kids are getting food stamps. And the food stamps didn't just get cut for those women that y'all are talking about. The food stamps got cut, period. Temporarily. All those people I just named are only getting temporary stamps. So before you fix your lips to say, oh, get rid of it, no. The other thing is, I'm sick of people thinking because something doesn't directly affect you, that it's not going to affect you. If food stamps were cut for a long amount of time, the price of food is going to go up. Because the markets have to make up for the billions of dollars that the markets will lose if there are no food stamps. That means people will lose their jobs. Markets might have to shut down. Now you got to go other places to get your food. You know what I'm saying? Now we got more people out of work. Now it's more unemployment. And then no food stamps to give to them. So I'm saying everything is always a trickle-down effect. But for some reason, if it's not a bullseye on people's forehead, people don't think it applies to them. Please stop. I'm hoping that the shutdown and the SNAP fiasco is resolved soon because people need money and people need food stamps to live. You cannot live without either, but for so long. I talked to y'all last week about reasonable doubt. What'd I say? Jack's client is always guilty. Now, excuse me. I don't know if Ozzy is guilty yet, right? But it's looking like Ozzy is guilty. So this is what I think happened. I think that Ozzy hit Wendy with something and then somebody else shot him. Because the way Wendy talked to Cash Doll character was giving murderer. The way he screamed at the table with his parents is giving psycho. And now he wakes up and said, I may have killed Wendy. I think he blacks out. Or has some kind of condition where he blacks out and don't remember what he did. Now I almost believe he absolutely did kill Wendy and somebody knew and finished the job so she couldn't tell what he did. Mark my words. I told y'all, Jax is a great attorney. Bad judge of character. Bad judge of character. Shout out to Sally because she told Chris off. Now, I do think Sally was wrong for putting the house up after he told her not to. She was dead wrong for that. But I do agree, like, it's nothing that can be done. I can't, I have apologized. I continue to apologize. It's not enough. You want to keep punishing me for it. I'm not going to live like that. I get that. But I get Chris also. We don't have a house to live in, sis. He said, I'm taking my kids to a home, something that you gave away. I said, Chris, too soon, too soon. All right, y'all, I need this to wrap up, though, because who the hell did this and why? Was it Ozzy? Was it somebody? Was it the mama? Mama's a piece of work. They done made a fake sex tape. Listen, this family crazy. This season is wild. But if y'all not watching Reasonable Doubt, please watch Reasonable Doubt. Speaking of Reasonable Doubt, Diddy, there's a photo or whatever of Diddy on the prison yard. Yo, if they ain't say that was Diddy, I would not have known that was Diddy. Like, it's like, what is it? Like trading places. Not laughing at his situation, but that's literally what it is. It's like trading places, yo. And he's the Mortimer, we're back. That's him. He's that right now. But I want people to stop taking pictures of him and stuff like that in prison. Let that man do his time in peace. For real. Let that man do his time in peace. Don't try to further embarrass him. You know what I mean? By putting his face out there and showing him on the yard and all that. That was like really weird to watch. It really was. All right, y'all. Last thing I want to say. This is the energy I love, right? So a woman from TMZ was trying to ask Jay-Z about, the Bad Bunny situation. And Bad Bunny was like, don't let them fool you. They love him. Talking about Bad Bunny, because she was saying how people was mad about him choosing Bad Bunny and, all this stuff, whatever, right? But then she was trying to get more than that. And he was like, I don't got nothing for you. I don't got nothing for you. And then she kept going. He was like, I'm not trying to respect you, but I don't got nothing for you. He's like, but you're good at what you do. Like, keep doing your thing, right? And he just kept telling her, like, I don't got nothing for you. And he's saying this as he's signing autographs, right? So let me tell you what I took from that, why I say that's energy, right? I respect what you do. You just not going to do it with me. What was, I had a motto. I said, I understand where you're coming from. I'm just not going with you. And the fact that he was signing autographs alleviated anybody trying to say, oh, he being Hollywood, not wanting to answer questions. Oh, no, he ain't being Hollywood. He not only told her she was doing a good job, he also was signing autographs in the process. He just wasn't going to allow her to make him say something, that could potentially come back on him. People twist words and all kind of stuff. Y'all know how it is. And it's TMZ. I don't blame him. So, shout out to Ho for that energy. I like it. All right, y'all. Y'all ready for my topic? Yeah, I know you are. So, as I said earlier, my topic this week is based on the classic hit from Omarion, Icebox. So, Omarion says, I got this icebox where my heart used to be. Think about an icebox, right? Icebox is frozen solid. Frozen solid. And Omarion says, I got this icebox where my heart used to be. One is saying, I ain't got no heart no more. It's an icebox instead. Think about that. Think about people that may not have a heart. Not literally, but figuratively. Not capable of love. Cold acting towards people. Emotionally avoidant. That's what that means when he says, I got this icebox where my heart used to be, right? The icebox is formed from trauma. Childhood trauma, relationship trauma, generational trauma. The icebox is formed from trauma. That is the liquid of the icebox, right? Because you're born with a heart. You're born caring, but something happens that causes trauma and causes the trauma liquid to form into an icebox in place of your heart. I bet nobody ever really thought about that, right? You just like, oh, it's just me, I'm so cold, I'm so cold. But how did the icebox get there is what we're going to talk about, right? And not for Omarion, because I can't speak for Omarion, but I'm talking about what that actually represents. Trauma is the liquid that forms the icebox. A lot of people have not raised their inner child. And that ain't even just for relationships. It's just in general. It's people that were bullied, right? That whenever you say something to them as an adult, it goes back to being bullied. And the reaction is that of a child, of how that person reacted as a child, or how that person wished that person would have reacted as a child. That person has not raised their inner child. That's a part of the icebox also. It's so many people that you can literally pinpoint when that person's inner child shows up. But you can see the inner child, but the person can't see the inner child. Because the person is the inner child in that moment, that person would not see the inner child. See what I'm talking about? That's how the icebox is formed, right? You have to raise your inner child, or he or she are going to show up in every relationship or situation that you have. I can't say that enough. And I'm not, being a hypocrite or anything. I'm telling y'all what I know. I'm telling y'all what I experienced. My inner child shows up, and you know what I say? Get the fuck out. As soon as I see my inner child showing up, somebody start ignoring me, and I'm, oh my God, why are you ignoring me? Are you gonna see me? I'm like, girl, get the fuck out. We don't do that. You gotta go. I raised you. You on your own. I kicked you out. But every once in a while, my inner child likes to show up, and I'm blessed enough to recognize her immediately and say, let me shut this door. Let me lock it. Let me change the code. All those things. You know what I mean? Because I'm an adult. And the only time adults inner child should show up is when you're doing a child activity. You know what I mean? Because I am forever young. You know what I mean? I went to see The Last Dragon. That's my inner child. I watch cartoons sometimes. That's my inner child. That's the inner child I don't mind. That's when my inner child can sit on the sofa with me. But when I'm in a relationship, or I'm dating, or I'm having an issue with a friend, my inner child gotta go. My inner child gotta get the fuck out. Period. But people who have an icebox where their heart used to be, your inner child is sitting on top of that icebox. See, because children don't know how to move past trauma. Children don't necessarily know how to recognize trauma and work towards melting that icebox. Children be like, ooh, icebox, it's cold. I like it like that. It makes me feel good, so I don't care how I make anybody else feel. That's what children say. That's what children do. Nobody should be okay with walking around saying I got an icebox where my heart used to be. Now, it's cool for the song. I mean, it's a song. But nobody should be moving like that, right? Now, let's take it, because this is going to be a little longer than usual, because I we're going to talk. I have consistently been involved with ice boxes, right? And the problem with being involved with ice boxes is, I don't know if some of y'all ever seen Karate Kid Part 2, and they have the little ice sculptures there, and Daniel's son had to learn how to break that joint, right? But he had to concentrate really hard to do it. He had to close his eyes and meditate and, all that, right? And then he was finally able to break it. You want to do all that? You want to do all that just to be able to date somebody? Do you want to do all that just to try to have a relationship with somebody or a friendship with somebody? Absolutely not. I'm living the soft life over here. I'm living the champagne life. I don't want to have to concentrate to break no ice. And that's what happens when you get involved with ice boxes, right? And see, my problem is I believe that my softness, my positivity, my brewing, fresh cappuccino sugar can melt the ice. And you know, it can appear at times that the ice is starting to melt, right? But that ice box will freeze right back on up. Go right back in the freezer. Seriously. And oh, well, I just got to be a little more soft. I just got to be a little more understanding. I just got to be a little more considerate. I'm a motherfucking unicorn. I just want to let y'all know that. I'm motherfucking Jane from Broxtown. I still lean over and open the door. And not because I want somebody to say I'm the one, but because in the words of Lauryn Hill, I believe in reciprocity. People think that's crazy. Why would you open the man door? It's automatic. It's not about that. It's the gesture. And I absolutely do it and been doing it. And not even just for somebody that I'm romantically involved with. If you open my door, I'm going to lean over and open yours. And there's people that can vouch for this, right? But even with all of that, I don't melt the ice. And then I start to say that maybe I don't have enough to melt the ice. Maybe I'm not enough to melt the ice, right? Then I get tired of trying to melt the ice, and I start to become an icebox too. Yo, listen, dealing with ice boxes will make you an icebox. Now, here's an example of me as an icebox, right? Every time in between dating somebody or a relationship of any kind, I go on freeze. 18 months, 5 years, 2 years, I go on freeze, right? Because after dealing with the ice boxes, I'm tired. After dealing with the ice boxes, I'm thinking that I ain't enough to melt ice, so there's something wrong with me. So I turn into an ice box. I put my insecurities there. I go through the struggle of, am I enough? That's my ice box. Right? But I realized it ain't meant for me to break an ice box. If somebody got an ice box where their heart used to be, I need to let them be great. I need to let somebody else try to melt them because I can't do it. Clearly, I can't do it. If softness, if encouragement, if understanding, if non-judgment, if acceptance, if all of that is not enough to melt that ice, then guess what? It doesn't mean I'm not enough. It just means I got to do too much because of how solid that ice is to begin with, because it's filled with trauma. Sometimes a whole lot of trauma. Some people's ice boxes are bigger than others. It ain't my fight. I ain't Daniel, son. I don't got to be out here trying to concentrate to break ice. I don't. I'm not anymore. Because I turned into an ice box. And I don't want to be that. I want to be water. Water flows. Now, let me rephrase that. I don't want to have an ice box for a heart, is what I mean. Because there are some great qualities about ice boxes, and one of them is solid, right? You know what I mean? And there are some things that I should freeze, like peace, like joy. That's what I want in my icebox. Peace, joy, memories, softness, love, friendship, opportunities, wealth. That's what I want in my icebox. I'm not going to be able to get them things if my icebox replaces my heart. See, a lot of people think it's cool to have an icebox where their heart used to be, because you still get what you want. You still get to pretend like you'll melt for people that try to melt. You know what I mean? You know, oh, I'm not melting. This icebox, I'm cool with this, with an icebox where my heart used to be. I'm cool being cool. You know what I mean? I'll give the appearance of melting because it allows me to benefit from the effort of somebody thinking they can make my icebox melt. And a lot of times I won't even tell. People won't even tell you that. You can't even see it. They appear to have a heart because you see them love people. They might even say they love you. But that icebox is there. And sometimes when it start melting, it'll start freeze up. It'll go back in the freezer. It'll go back in the deep freezer. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't got time, y'all. I'm not trying to break anybody's icebox again. If you got an icebox where your heart used to be, I need you to stay over there. Because what ain't nobody going to do is turn my heart into an icebox. Replace my heart with an icebox. I'm about love. I'm about peace. I'm about being a good vibe everywhere I go. And I realized that because I dealt with so many iceboxes, starting with the man that was half responsible for bringing me into this world. Because I dealt with so many iceboxes, I started turning into an icebox in relationships. No, it's cool. We ain't gotta do that. You ain't gotta say that. Oh, you ain't gotta, you know what I mean? Oh, I don't feel nothing. Oh, I don't have no feelings. You know what I'm saying? I started being like that. Because you start, like my author T, I started returning energy to sender. But now I'm returning your energy back to you when it doesn't fit me. Because I'm living my life. I'm living the champagne life. To take it back to last week. There's no room for anybody with an icebox as a heart in the champagne life. There's no room for that anymore. I will not deal with anyone like that. Period. I will not. That is not allowed. I'm freezing the icebox people out. And the bad thing is, some people approach you as if they're water, right? They're a solid person. They pretend to be a solid person. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying in general. They pretend to be a solid person. You start to think they're water just to find out they got an icebox where their heart used to be. And they're not capable at this time of melting because of what their icebox consists of. Trauma in their inner child that has not been raised. My icebox has melted. I feel great. It's all water over here, baby. There is no icebox where my heart is. Nothing is going to replace my heart. Nothing is going to make me not love. Nothing is going to make me not treat people well. Nothing is going to make me stop being genuine. Nothing is going to make me stop celebrating people or allowing myself to be celebrated. It ain't happening. I ain't no icebox. It's all water over here. And from here on out, I'm only dealing with water. I'm only pouring into water. I'm only investing my time into water. I'm not investing my time in trying to break ice boxes. That shit will hurt your hand. I ain't no fucking karate kid. I can't break no ice sculptures. And I should have never been trying. Because I might not have broke my hand, but I broke things inside of me in the past. I'm almost 44 years old. I've been dealing with this shit a long time. It wasn't until the last 2 weeks I really realized that I have allowed, because when you take accountability, you say allow. I have allowed people to turn me into an icebox. And equivalent to an icebox is emotionally avoidant. I am not emotionally avoidant. But you start to become emotionally avoidant when dealing with people who are emotionally avoidant, right? Because if the emotionally avoidant person is not reaching out to you, now you like, well, I ain't reaching out to you. The emotionally avoidant person giving you one word answers, well, I'm gonna give you one word answers. No, I'm not. Y'all, nobody's gonna make me act like anybody outside of myself. I am not that person. Yeah, I got a hormonal imbalance and you know what I mean, all this kind of shit. I'm a woman of a certain age. But 90% of the time, I am a vibe. And if I don't feel like I'm going to be a vibe, you're probably not going to see me. You're probably not going to hear from me. Or I'm going to keep it cute. Because I don't want to give off that energy. But I really did realize I turned into an icebox. So, baby, no disrespect to Omarion, but the only thing here is a heart. There is no icebox. The only time I want ice is in my drink. But like I said, the best quality about ice is it's solid. Now that part of me is true. But it ain't in place of my heart. I'm hot more than I'm cold. I be having flashes. I'm hot more than I'm cold. I ride around with the window down. Just saying. I'm usually not cold. And I'm definitely not a cold person. Definitely don't want to be cold to people. Now, yes, you got to have boundaries. You got to protect your peace and all that. But I know how to do that without being cold. I'm not carrying around that kind of energy. I'm going to use my heart for good. I'm glad I had that revelation. As Pills and Petrol said on episode 215 on the Mr. Know It All podcast, I thank you for all the bullshit, all the chaos, everything. I thank everybody for it because I would not be who I am today, right? I would not realize that probably from a kid up until now, I really have been an icebox. And a lot of times it probably was an icebox, me icebox. But I wanted somebody else to make me melt, right? So I tried to make them melt, but I'm an icebox myself. How does that work? Ice can't melt ice. So that is why if I ever want to have a quality relationship, which I do at some point, maybe not at this moment, because being honest, I am still melting. I was an icebox and didn't know I was. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to be. And I'm making every effort not to be, starting today. Because words have power. And I will not say I got an icebox where my heart used to be. Now, even though I was an icebox, again, let me be clear. It didn't replace my heart. I said I became an icebox. Frozen in emotion. Frozen in uncertainty. Frozen in confusion. Frozen thinking that I wasn't enough. That's the icebox that I was. And even those things as an icebox, you can't be that and want to have a quality relationship. You projecting your inner child issues. You projecting trauma. You know what I mean? All this kind of stuff, right? But I'm gonna say this. This is the last couple of things I'm gonna say, right? This is another thing I realized. Some stuff is trauma. Some stuff people just should not be doing. I do have an issue with being ignored. But why would people be ignoring you? People should not be ignoring you. So both things can be true. Yeah, my trauma does not make me a fan of being ignored. But why are you ignoring? Why is anybody ignoring me? Now, how I handle being ignored is as a result of the trauma. Right? But I want to be very clear to everybody watching this. Because I know I jumped around. My main point is I'm done dealing with ice boxes. I'm done believing that I have the power due to my softness and good energy and, you know, all of that to melt anyone, right? And even with my softness and my energy and all of that, there are some things that were still frozen about me. chips of ice, I'll say. That's a better thing to say. Chips of ice. Ice chips. There we go. I was ice chips, not ice block. And it wasn't in place of my heart. Because I've always, no matter what the situation, am loving, am considerate, am understanding. You know what I mean? And I've learned that, I saw this on the Wolf podcast. He said, give grace, not excuses. I think that I'm giving grace, but a lot of times I'm giving excuses. Somebody could be doing something wrong and somebody's telling me the person is doing something wrong. And it is in my brain to immediately, well, no, they did say, well, no, they did do. That's what I do. So I have to learn moving forward to give grace, but not excuses. It's not okay for somebody to ignore you. It's not. It's not. We're in the age of cell phones. Everybody has their phone every single day. There's no reason for somebody to ignore you unless the person wants to ignore you. Other thing is, sometimes people are ice boxes and you are starting to melt them. And that person is afraid of experiencing whatever caused that icebox to form in the first place. And it's scary. Not my problem. Give grace, not excuses. All right, so I am an hour in. I think I've made my point. Don't deal with ice boxes because you will become an icebox. And that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be an icebox where your heart used to be, but some things about you will be frozen. And just like I was brewing with a fresh cappuccino sugar, I'm melting daily. This week, I might be like half a block right now. I'm dead serious because I've really been working on it because I ain't getting no younger. And it's time. It's time for me to not be involved with the icebox. The next part of this is to figure out. And you know what? That's what I figured out. I figured out I attract iceboxes because parts of me are frozen. Ice attracts ice. All right, y'all. This has been episode 21 of Tyus Tuesday Thoughts, Icebox. Sponsored by Author Tees. I guarantee one of the quotes authored by me will speak to you. www.juggydinez.com/AUTHORTEES. This week's feature author T is Return Energy to Sender. Somebody send you some energy you don't want? Return it back to them, literally. Not return the same energy, but return their energy. Like, here you go. I don't want your energy. Literally, what that means. Follow me on Instagram, JUSTTYABRANDLLC. Follow Podcast Link Philly, PODCASTLINK PHILLY. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I thank you all so very much for allowing me to melt. Peace.